Hello everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to have a look at randomized transforms. So this is the reason why I didn't want to solidify our three objects that make up each one of these segments into one mesh object for the moment, because I wanted to be able to randomize some of them, and this front one I had already done something to. So let's select everything that we've got around here, and because these two objects, our lamp and our camera, are still not selectable, I can just select everything with the A key. I'm going to left click and hold down shift on this front one. I'm going to click twice and notice it's still selected, which will cause us a problem, and nothing is the active selected. So let's go ahead and select something else for the moment, thus completely deselecting this front object. If we go to Object and go to Transform, Randomize Transform, and open up the operator panel, we've got a series of options. Now, you would do well not to go too extreme on these options, especially the scale. In fact, I think for this particular scene, I'll leave the scale alone, but I'll demonstrate some of the things that can happen. So location is obviously a change and randomness in an object's X location. We've got Y location and Z as well. And if we move them all at once, what we can very quickly end up with is something that looks pretty cool in terms of a motion graphic. You can have everything coming together and bing, it's all assembled. Now, this is something you may want to play with in the future. And when we get to animations and keyframing, you can certainly do stuff like this. But for the moment, let's just use it for our intended purpose, which is to add a bit of an organic feel to our scene. So I'm going to use small numbers here. They don't have to all be the same. They can vary ever so slightly. And the same here, if you go too extreme, it's just going to look like they should fall over, which we don't want. So I'm going to perhaps use it in the 1, 2, and 3 degree range. And you may find that some of these particular settings make more sense than others depending on your object itself. So if we, let's say, rotate things on the X direction massively, these don't look right. They just look like they're falling over. So it's likely that both X and Y, and note at this point that it's the local direction, not the world direction. And you can also see here it's affecting everything because of the parenting. So this is one of the options here. Do I want the parents involved with this? Because I don't have an option at the moment, because of the hierarchies there, it's actually twisting my scene about. So I want to undo that parenting before I play with this anymore. So let's just go ahead, and I've already saved my file before I changed it, but I'm going to revert back to how it was previously. So there we go. This is how we started off. You could also undo if you were concerned. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to just remove all the parenting that I had. And you can do that very quickly under the object menu, under parent. We can clear parents or Alt and P. Now all of those relationship lines are gone, and we'll be able to use the object transform and randomize transform with much more ease and not having to think about how parents and children may be interacting with one another. And again, small numbers here. I'm going to change the location. I'm going to go 1 on the X, 1 on the Y, and maybe a bit more on the Z, because the Z is its local Z. And in this particular case, they can be spun round quite excessively before it's a particular issue. So there we go. We've added 5 degrees there. Now, in terms of an object scale, this can end up going completely wrong and very quickly. Although, look at that. I've made an office city block or something along those lines. Okay. Now, one of the things there is I thought, oh, I'll go ahead and undo. And it's undone absolutely everything I had before. But fortunately, most operations in Blender remember your previous settings. So let's just change that back down to 1 on the scale. And I like that. That's added a lot of variation in the model. It doesn't look like a cookie cutter scene anymore. It looks like they've been deliberately moved to make them look more organic. Maybe a little too much in places, but you know what? I'll leave that for the moment as is. The only thing that I don't particularly like is this one here. I'm going to look down and move it back and rotate it individually. That's because, unlike every other object in the scene, this is joined together. which has caused it to rotate and twist that maybe we weren't expecting with the 3 individual objects. Okay, brilliant. So that pretty much wraps up our object manipulation. We've learnt an absolute ton in the last 10 or so videos. The next video is going to be about challenging yourself to put all of that knowledge together and make your own scene. It can be a very simple one like this, it can be a bit more complex, and it really doesn't matter how long it takes you. It'll take you as long as it takes. Be proud of your work. Remember, at this stage you're a beginner. We're not expecting you to do absolutely tons, but one recommendation I'd always make is that you take your time and you pick achievable goals. And in the next video we'll dive into the details of that challenge. See you soon.